Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and the Hard of Hearing board meeting. Today's date is November 16th, 2023. And we will go ahead and start today's meeting at 4:38 p.m. Kyla, can you start us out with the roll call, please? Thank you.
Sure. Commissioner Benton? No. Commissioner Cohen? No.
Here.
Commissioner Matson? Okay. Commissioner O'Rourke? Commissioner Scarborough? Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
Commissioner Webster?
Here.
Commissioner Williams? And Commissioner Venkatesh?
Here.
Commissioner Cinco?
Here.
Commissioner Matson, I believe, is here. I just didn't see him pop up for the roll call. Okay, yeah, he is here. Great. And then ACDHH staff present, Sherry Collins?
Here.
Carmen Greensmith?
Here.
Nikki Sukup? Sue Kay?
Here.
Victoria Vaughn?
Here.
Ricky Gonzowski? And myself, Kyla Dalton Nava, present. Also, I think our AAG is here. Elise Phelan, is she here? No, okay, that's it.
Thank you so much, Kyla. I noticed Commissioner Benton is wearing a sweater or a jacket. It must be nice and cold up in Flagstaff. I hope you're staying warm. How cold is it?
It's not bad. It's about 45. It's snowing soon. So hopefully we'll get some this weekend.
Well, I'm excited for you. Thank you.
I just got home from work, so.
Okay. I'm happy to see that everyone is here. We will move on to the approval of the minutes from our August 17th meeting. Do we have a motion on the floor?
I move we accept the August 17th minutes as written.
We have a motion to accept the meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second and a third from Fred. All in favor? Looks like everyone is in agreement and we have approved the minutes. We can move on to the next agenda item. It's starting to feel like the Brady Bunch here with everyone's videos popping up. All right. Thank you, everyone. Next is the chair report and summary of events. I do not have a report, but I would like to share something that was brought to my attention. We do have a group of deaf-blind individuals who have gathered in Tucson who will be participating in today's meeting. Some of those individuals will be sharing public comments to let us know their concerns about services or lack of resources. So right now they are with ACDHH staff at a hotel in Oro Valley. I am now going to turn the time over to Commissioner Benton, who will give us the information about the rules for public comment, and then we will turn the time over to Kyla, who will help us through that process.
The board is responsible for establishing time limits for public participation. Unless modified by the board at a particular meeting, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes on all topics. And it's my understanding we have modified it today to be 6 minutes per person. Personal attacks on board members, staff, or other persons in attendance or absent are discouraged. Individuals are cautioned that statements concerning others that could be considered slanderous may subject the speaker to civil action. Those who violate this rule can be barred from future appearances before the board. This applies to both public hearings and board meetings. Your cooperation is appreciated.
Thank you, Commissioner Benton. Now, those individuals who are interested in giving a public comment, I want to reiterate that the time limit today is 6 minutes. We wanted to make sure that tonight's meeting was accessible to our deafblind population. During the public comments, I'll have my camera off. Kyla, can you facilitate that process?
Sure. The question that I had is, did we want to proceed first with the 2 written statements and then the video, and then it'll give us a little bit of time to arrange for those who are here in person to comment?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think Commissioner Benton will be reading those 2 comments. And then we'll have Ricky play the video after those 2 comments are read.
The first comment that I will read is from Ernest Willman. This is broken up into 5 categories. The first category is independence and quality of life. Research has consistently shown that support service providers or co-navigators play a crucial role in enhancing the independence and quality of life for individuals with dual sensory impairments, such as deafblind Arizonans. These professionals assist in daily tasks, communication, and navigation, empowering individuals to lead more fulfilling lives. The second bullet is communication access. Access to effective communication is a fundamental right. Studies emphasize the importance of support service providers in facilitating communication for deafblind individuals. They enable access to information, education, employment, and social interactions, contributing to a more inclusive society. The third bullet point is health and safety. Support service providers contribute significantly to the health and safety of deafblind individuals. They assist in navigating physical environments, interpreting important information such as health-related instructions, and ensuring that individuals can access healthcare services. Cutting these services could jeopardize the well-being of this population. The fourth bullet point is employment and educational opportunities. Employment and educational opportunities are vital for the overall well-being of any individual. Studies have shown that support service providers are crucial in facilitating access to education and employment for deafblind individuals, breaking down barriers and promoting inclusion in various aspects of life. And the fifth bullet point is cost effectiveness in the long run. While there may be short-term financial considerations in reducing support service providers, long-term studies suggest that investing in support services for deafblind individuals can be cost-effective. By enabling individuals to participate more fully in society, there is a potential reduction in the need for other costly support systems, such as long-term care or specialized interventions. The other written comment is from Samantha Moore. Written comments are as follows. Deafblind members are members under ACDHH. Therefore, they are to receive equal accessibility and their accommodation must be met. Deaf-sighted members have no limit to accommodations. So why do deafblind members have limits? We deaf-sighted have so much privilege to transportation, visual awareness, access to work, access to nearly everything. When deafblind members do not have that luxury, and ACDHH is not working hard enough to tell the state why deafblind members' services are critical. Do not cut their hours.
Thank you. And then we'll ask Ricky to play
Thank
the
you.
video that we have.
Yeah, Kyla? Okay. Ricky's going to be playing the video.
Yes, Ricky's going to be playing this video now. There we go.
My name is Manny. Hi, ACDHH. I would like to see the SSPs get paid more. And I would also like to see deafblind individuals get more hours, more than just 20 hours. 20 hours are not enough. It'd be better if we had 25 to 35 hours. Thank you so much from the deafblind community.
Great. And then we should be good to go for our live commenter here. And that next comment is going to come from Blaze Perry, I believe.
Yes, hello. My name is Blaze Perry, and I moved here 2 years ago from Louisiana. In Louisiana, they had a very good SSP program. And when I moved here, it was a very big difference. I understand that you all are trying your best to help us, but my goal is that I want you to not be counting SSP hours for medical appointments and such, important appointments. I have many issues with my health, with transportation, getting to the doctor's office, and SSP hours are very limited. There aren't enough SSP hours for social interactions. So it's important to have those hours for the doctor's office covered and not counted and deleting from our total allowed. Also, I would rather that you use those, again, just to reiterate that you do not count those important medical appointments, that you separate them. Socializing is great, but the hours are still not great. We really need more hours available to us. When I was in Louisiana, they provided 50 hours. And so I would like to ask you if you could try your best to remedy that problem. Thank you.
We're just going to reset here and then have the next commenter. While we reset, that next comment is going to be coming from Krista Caudill.
Hello. Just one moment. Just getting the camera set up. Hello, my name is Krista Caudell. This is my name sign. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here to share my concerns with you all. First, I want to say how appreciative I am for the work that the SSPs do for us, the hard work that they do. I want to say thank you so much for all the work that you do for me. It's unfortunate that you are thinking about reducing the hours that we receive of services because deafblind people need these services in order to live a happy and independent life and to be able to access things in this world like everyone else does. And it's not just about doctor's appointments and going to the grocery store. It's also about going out for a workout or going to a social event. And I feel really limited in what I am able to do. And so I would like to see more SSP hours. Thank you so much to all of the volunteers who have helped me. I really feel like there need to be more SSP hours available, 25 hours available for people like me. And the funds, we really run out of our hours quickly. And so it's time that we start looking for additional funds, like grant funds, in order to hire more SSPs to do this important work. And I'm wondering where the number 20 came from, because it's really just not enough for us. ACDHH also no longer has a deafblind coordinator. And I would like there to be a deafblind coordinator working for ACDHH who has an understanding of the needs of the deafblind community. And I don't mean to offend anyone, and I don't mean to offend any hearing people, but they may not have an understanding of what we as deafblind people go through. So I think it's important that ACDHH have another deafblind coordinator. I'm worried about the hours being cut because I really depend on ACDHH and the SSP program in order for us to have a good livelihood. It feels like you are cutting our hours and you're affecting our livelihood. And I would like to see ACDHH keep the amount of hours that we receive. And I know that I like Blaze Perry's idea, and I just understand, I want you to understand how important SSP services are to us. Thank you so much for your consideration, and thank you so much for letting me share my comments.
All right, and we will reset here and have the next comment here in just a second. I believe that's going to be Vic Figueroa.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Figueroa. My name sign is V on the right side of my head. I moved here from New York and have been in Arizona for a while. And things have been fine. However, I feel badly about the cut in the hours. I just feel that there are not enough hours. It would be better if we had 25 hours. I agree with the previous two comments that were made about this. I'm wondering how you are measuring or able to track the money for that and how you're making that determination to cut the hours. We have a very limited number of hours now that are used up by our medical appointments. And so since I've been living here, since April. It seems to have been fine the way it's been going, but if we limit it, that's just not going to be enough. I think we need to have an increase on the number of hours for the deafblind services with our SSPs, just to help us navigate things, to get around. And I feel that ACDHH making these additional cuts is just not right. We need to increase at the very least, continue with the number we have now or increase it so that the deafblind people can get together. And in the past, I have gone to medical appointments and there was a limit of 2 to 4 hours, which was okay. But then when I need to go out to restaurants or grocery shopping or have help with other things where I need to have an SSP there for me, or if I need someone to do some tactile signing for me, to work with me in that way, that's really nice to have them there. So I do appreciate being able to have that communication access when I go grocery shopping. The SSPs are able to help me locate different items. They make sure that I get to places on time. But there is a limit to the number of hours when we're doing those outings. It's been 2 hours. We'd like to see it up to 5 hours even.
Okay. We are going to move on with the other commenters that we have. We do have Karen Tenen who will be providing comments. I'm just going to go ahead and enable her to show her video and get her set up here. And she is commenting from home.
All right, am I on video? Hello, my name is Karen Tenen, and I'm speaking to you from Phoenix. I'm a deafblind individual who moved here from Seattle, and I have a desire to be a part of the deafblind community. And Seattle has a well-known deafblind community. There are deafblind leaders in the community there who work in different roles. There's even a deafblind camp called CBEC in Seattle. Seattle provides wonderful services to those who are deafblind. They have great programs and a variety of opportunities for deafblind people to really be a part of everything that they could want to be a part of in life. Then when I moved to Arizona in May, I began to see a lot of issues and a lot of problems, and there just aren't adequate resources. There's not adequate information or education. There's not adequate exposure to individuals to learn more about the deafblind community, about the people, the culture, and the language. Some people ask me where the deafblind community is, where everyone is located, where they are around town and where they are in Arizona. But most of these individuals are isolated in their homes. People don't understand us. People don't understand what we need. And so we are asking to provide more of a robust service here and to also have a power, oppression, and privilege training, or PPO. We know who we are, we understand who we are, and we want to be supported, and we want to have a full and robust life. We want to be out of our homes. We want to socialize. We want educational opportunities. We want more resources. I would like to see a healthy situation in Arizona for the deafblind community. But I would say right now, 99% of the deafblind community members are not healthy. They're suffering. We're suffering because we don't have what we need here. We need to, what we're asking is to have the deafblind coordinator position reinstated at ACDHH so we could have a contact person, someone who we could communicate with, someone who we could feel comfortable communicating with, and someone who understands the deafblind community. There's also been violations of the deafblind community's human rights. We are isolated. We have a lack of services. And so we're asking that that be changed and removed, and we're asking that you remove the PPO portion. We want you to understand that we want to have a full range of opportunities available to us here in Arizona. We want to be a model for the deafblind community. We have the Deafblind Project. It is run by deafblind individuals historically, but right now there is a hearing woman who is running that, and she does not have the proper identity to manage an organization such as that. That person in that position needs to be someone who is deafblind. What I'm seeing here in Arizona just absolutely makes my heart hurt. And I am asking the board to please consider changing in order to address our needs. What the Tucson deafblind community members have shared, the deafblind community members of Phoenix share the same concerns. And I want to emphasize what was mentioned earlier about wellness. That is a huge issue for us. 2 minutes left. That is a huge issue for us here. And I don't want this issue to be put off any longer. Please address this ASAP. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Hello, my name's Karen Tenen, and I am here in Tucson. I'm from California. We set up a social, deafblind social here in Tucson. We've been doing that for over a year now. Oh. Casey Hassett. Excuse me, Casey Hassett. So I'll start over, introducing myself. This is Casey Hassett, and I'm from California. I moved here to Tucson in 2019. I am deafblind myself and still learning sort of the lay of the land here. And so I offered to support the deafblind community after I had some frustrations. So we started a deafblind social event that's been going for a couple of years, and it's been very successful. We get a lot of participation in that, and it's been great. One negative that we've run into is the SSPs. There just aren't enough. People can't go because there are no SSPs available. So people aren't able to attend. And so we'd like to see that remedied. We do not have enough SSP hours anymore. And we also would like, for medical appointments, we'd like those to not count against our SSP hours. We'd like to be able to use those for ourselves. And I also know that SSPs are under COPD. One frustration about COPD is that there are not enough vans. They have a limited number of vans, and that's another reason why they don't have enough SSPs. So in order to use that, they've got to share it. They've only got 2 vans, so those have to be shared, which is difficult. COPD also has advertised for more SSP. They need more SSP staff, but the downside is they've got to do a drug test. And here in Arizona, recreational marijuana is legal, and people want that job, but they're not able to get it because they test positive for that substance. Pertaining to ACDHH, I would like to have the deaf-blind specialist back as well. I'd like to have that position reopened so that there's someone in it to support the community all over Arizona and to have someone in that position to help improve the program. The recommendation for that position, the best person to run that position would be a deaf-blind person, not a sighted deaf person or a hearing person, but a deaf-blind person who's more familiar with the issues at hand. Personally, I have looked into and gathered information that I would like to share with you, the board. In Washington and in Louisiana, they have a lot of experience in improving their SSP programs. And so they are willing to help. I'm willing to help share the information with you that I have gathered. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Our next comment is going to come from Mary Hartle.
Oh, the audio now unmuted.
Hello, my name is Mary Hartle, Maryhartle. And I receive SSP services from the ACDHH program, and they have been tremendously helpful to me over the last several years that this program has been operating. But we're needing more money. We need ACDHH to request more money from the legislature, like immediately, to deal with the influx of many more deaf-blind people into Arizona, and you know, and to just like my cat's in the way right now. So the number of people needing SSP services are increasing, but now I hear talk of decreasing our hours, and you know, that doesn't seem fair in you know, when those of us who have been here for a while, been in the state for over 20 years, about 22 years, but need more funding to help to support the increasing demand for services and the increasing number of people who are coming to our state. And so see, and also want to talk about another topic that's not related to the SSP services, but the topic is portrayal of blind persons in publications from ACDHH. I saw recently a publication, and the caption said that there are 2 blind people with sunglasses on. And that is a kind of outdated stereotype of what blind people are. I'd rather see a more positive portrayal of like a blind person using a white cane, or, you know, holding
This is Commissioner Cienko, just letting you know this is your 2-minute warning.
Okay, thank you. Holding, you know, holding or using a white cane, or somebody using a dog guide, rather than two blind people wearing sunglasses. And I'd be glad to discuss more with the appropriate staff. So Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, before we move on to the next and final public comment, I have noticed that our interpreters are working real hard to interpret for us tonight, and so is our cart provider. We're going to go ahead and give everyone a 5-minute break to use the restroom, collect yourselves, and then we will get back to the meeting. So please return at, let's see, it's now 5:20. Let's say come back at 5:25. So technically you get a 6-minute break. All right, thank you.
Dashariki has started screen share Zoom meeting. The Dashariki has stopped screen share. The Dashariki has started screen share Zoom. The host has asked you to start your video.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I want to just make sure that everyone is back. Kyla, can you do a roll call for us, please?
Ready to proceed with the next public comment?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we probably need to do a roll call since being off a break.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I mentioned that, but I wasn't sure if you got the message. So yeah,
I
if you wouldn't mind
didn't
doing a
see
roll
it, I'm
call.
sorry.
That's okay.
Okay,
That's okay.
all right.
We'll go ahead and do a roll call just to confirm that everyone's back.
Okay, Commissioner O'Rourke,
Here.
Commissioner Williams,
Here.
Commissioner Webster,
Here.
Commissioner Cohen,
Here.
Commissioner Brimhall,
Here.
Commissioner Venkatesh,
Here.
Commissioner Scarborough,
Here.
Commissioner Benton,
Here.
Commissioner Madsen,
Here.
Commissioner Thompson. I don't know if I called you already, but okay.
Here.
And then last but not least, Commissioner Cinco.
Here. Thank you, Kyla, for taking the time to do a roll call for us. I appreciate that. We have one more public comment, and I believe it's also the final public comment. This one is from Kira Davis. Hi, Kira. And Kira, are you able to see okay? This is Kira Davis. This is Kira. Yes, I can. Hello again. This is Kira Davis. I live in Tucson and I am deafblind. I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm tired after a long day of work. I want to talk a little bit about my experience using SSPs here in Tucson through COPD, the Community Outreach Program for the Deaf. In the mid-2000s, I would say 2005 to 2012, I don't really remember what the maximum hours was that I could get, but I remember being able to be independent. I could go to Yuma, I could go shopping with friends, I could go I could go to appointments. I'm a mother, and so I really had a lot of flexibility at the time. And then I also had the opportunity to go work out. And then in about 2015, 2016, for personal reasons, I stopped using SSP services. And then fast forward to about 2019, when my brother, Connor Davis, his fiance, Blaze Perry, moved to Tucson. And so we were really excited about that. We were excited to have more deafblind people here. And as we learned more about Blaze, we have different vision, he and I do. His vision is more limited than my vision. So I had the opportunity to learn more about pro-tactile communication. As a deafblind person, that is something that I was interested in learning more about. So I started to use SSP services more. And then I learned that the hours had been reduced from what I remembered back in the early 2000s when I was able to go work out. And I was really able to lead an independent life with flexibility. And so fast forward to now, when sorry about that, tech issues. Where was I? From what I know from the deafblind community living in Tucson, we like to go out. You know, Casey and I like to go to deafblind socials here in Tucson, but oftentimes there aren't enough SSPs. And so we need more SSPs badly. Another concern that I have is in the arena of protactile communication. I don't always have, it's not always our job as deafblind people to teach individuals about protactile communication. I think that should be beholden to ACDHH or COPD to educate the community about the deafblind community and protactile communication. And then also let people know that they can apply for SSP services. That way they can provide the service to us as deafblind people. That would be great. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good evening. Thanks.
Just checking to see if Commissioner Stanko is back with us. It does not seem like she's having some difficulties with her power right now. Okay, so is that's the end of the public comments? I understand.
Commissioner Benton, this is Kyla. Yes, that is the end of the public comments.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you. So we jump down to that part of the agenda, and do we want to, is there time for any discussion about the public comments, or is that, it doesn't appear as though there's actually a time? No, Sherry, there's not a time.
No, it's not an agenda item.
That's unfortunate. Okay, then perhaps it should be the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So Sherry, don't go too far because I believe the next item on the agenda is the executive director's update.
Okay. Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody in the public for making those comments. It is a non-agenda item, which means that that topic is not on the agenda for the board, and so the board members cannot engage in a discussion about it. However, we can put it on the agenda for our next board meeting in February. But I do plan to comment and respond to some of the comments that were made in my report. So I'll just hold that until the end. So again, I would like to say good evening to everybody, all of the board members, and thank you. I've been just returning home from a 2-week vacation. Yesterday was my first day back. I feel reinvigorated and re-energized to be back. So a few things in the report. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to peruse that, but a couple of things that I would like to emphasize. And one is just the highlights. One highlight of this last quarter was Deaf Nation, the expo. The Deaf Nation Expo hasn't been back in Arizona for quite a while. I think it's gosh, it was a long time, maybe 2015 or something, quite a long time. And so there were a lot of people who attended that, and our booth was very busy. During that day, we did have the final opportunity to solicit people to come in and complete that older adult survey, the part for the research that we're partnering with Gallaudet University. And wow, we just we couldn't get enough. There were a lot of people, but we couldn't get enough iPads to get all the people to do it. There was a long line of people who wanted to do the survey. So we're very grateful for the people who were willing to participate in that and were patient to wait for their turn to participate in that. So we were thrilled with the results of that.
Hi, I'm back.
Good. Okay. So I'm just doing my board report now, Katie. Okay.
Okay.
Also, our staff has been involved in working with ASDB and participating in their interpreter summit, which was very successful. There were many other activities that have taken place during this last quarter. So hopefully you've had a chance to read the report and you can ask me any questions that you have about that. One thing that I forgot to mention in the beginning of my comments in this report is that on YouTube, during the meeting tonight, there is a comment wondering why all of the board members and the staff are turning off their videos. And the reason why we're doing that is so that we can see for communication, for visibility, with the interpreters who are signing and the captioners and the people who are lip reading. If we had all of the cameras on, the boxes would be so small it would be difficult to see everyone. And so that's why, and that's been our habit, our process as we've gone through these meetings on Zoom, had them virtually. That's the procedure that we followed, is because it's easier to see the communication. We do also have some board members who need communication access or communication accommodations as well. And so we want to make sure we do that. So thanks for asking that question. So I would like to go back to the board report. One of the things, one of the contracts that we have that we're in partnership with is services that, so COPD, Community Outreach Program for the Deaf, which is based in Tucson, it's Catholic Community Services, and Valley Center for the Deaf, VCD. Both of those are under Catholic Community Services. CCS provides the SSP services, the support service providers. That's what SSP means. And since we have received funding from the legislature for that, and back in, I want to say it was 2018, $192,000 was the amount that we received when we implemented that program. And we started that in-house with in-house staff. That was our first time. We were trying to figure out what to do, what the needs were and how to meet them. So we did that in-house. We went along, we set up a coordinator, we did SSP training, and then we transitioned that contract with Catholic Services back in, or to Catholic Services. Let me find the year if you'll give me a moment. 2019. We transitioned that back to Catholic Services to coordinate those SSP services. And tonight I saw some comments in the public comment, several people saying that the SSP hours should not be cut, but that is new information and that is not coming from ACDHH. So I don't know who is spreading that information. And I would like to emphasize that ACDHH is not cutting the hours. There are 20 hours. You have 20 hours. You can use them as you wish. And if you run out of those 20 hours and you need more hours, you can contact them and request to increase your hours. If you have other medical needs or if you have other issues, you can make a request that that's increased. So you have the opportunity to do that. Since we have had that program in place, there have been very few people who have gone over 20 hours and very few people who have asked for an increase. I don't think we've ever run out of money for that. The funding is there. We still have plenty of funding left. We're not broke yet. However, we do recognize the increase in number of deafblind people who are moving here, which is great news. We welcome all of them and we're thrilled to have them here. But at the same time, we want you to know that the SSP hours have not been cut. So let me give you an example. Let me just find my information. In 2023, $192,000 was given to us, but we have a balance remaining of $21,805. That's the balance remaining. We cannot carry that money over into the next year. It will be gone. It has to be spent during that year. So that $21,000 will be gone. In the new fiscal year, 2024, we have $139,000 remaining, $139,696 left through June 30th. And so the budget cycle starts July 1st and continues until June 30th. That's an annual calendar. That's our annual fiscal calendar. So again, I want to reiterate, we do have money. The challenge, perhaps, is that some people are facing is that SSPs are not available in order to meet the scheduled requests. We do see that as a possible problem, but there are different issues. And I am very interested in looking at the other issues that are causing the barrier, because we do have funds available. You can get services. So I just wanted to clarify that for everyone. I don't know where the misunderstanding is coming from, but it's certainly not coming from ACDHH. So just wanted to clarify that. And I hope that that will clear up some of the confusion. Please do continue to make your requests for SSP services. Let me just double check if that's all. Another thing I wanted to mention about communication accommodations that came up today for those who are in Tucson in the deafblind community, and why we need to send staff to Tucson to help facilitate communication at the hotel, is because several deafblind people wanted interpreters at their home, which we do provide. However, there was an interpreter who had to cancel at the last minute. That was beyond our control. And so we did the best that we could at the last minute, trying to make some quick changes. And so we had everybody show up at a hotel there in Tucson. So I really do want to apologize that that happened at the last minute. You're correct. It's not fair to others, but we did the best that we could in order to provide communication access accommodations for those in the community. And again, it was due to a last minute cancellation of an interpreter. For those on the board, when you have your discussion on the board meeting calendar for 2024, I encourage you to consider perhaps going back in person for a meeting. The hybrid approach, we're just not ready for that. We're still in a testing phase with Zoom, And like what's happening tonight, some folks are remote and some are in the boardroom. And so during our staff meetings, we've tried that, and the communication access accommodation is just really not effective. We end up really logging off of the hybrid aspect of it, because we do have some board members who need communication accommodations, and in person, we have interpreters there in the room, plus those who are calling in. It is a very complex situation. And so what that means is that if the meeting is in person, for those who cannot come in person, they will have to use the bridge line to call in, not on Zoom. So that means then you'll have to call in and maybe go through VRS or VRI, and we can send an interpreter for the board meeting in people's homes. So some people have been discussing that. I think that the technology, back to the technology issue, it's good, but for hybrid, we're just not ready. And we don't want to keep putting that off until the technology is perfect, but we do need to wait until it's better for that. So I suggest that we consider going back in person, just something to think about, food for thought for your later discussion. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Thank you, Sherry. Ooh, a little warm here. Thank you, Sherry. And thank you so much to whoever took over for me while I was experiencing some weather challenges here in Tucson. We are having a thunderstorm, we have some lightning, and my power went out. Imagine my confusion when the lights started blinking and then all my power just went out, my computer went off. So thank you. And I was able to watch Kira's comment, or excuse me, I missed Kira's comment, but I will be sure to catch that later on YouTube. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. I do want to say thank you to the deafblind community in Tucson. You were very brave to share your experiences with us this evening, sharing your challenges that you faced, and for sharing your journey with us. We recognize that. We recognize the challenges that you are now facing in the community with the lack of services and the lack of resources. Sherry Collins and I are grateful that you made the time to be here this evening and to bring this to our attention. So thank you. I wanted to recognize the community. Like Sherry said, anytime you experience issues, please reach out to any staff at ACDHH. They would be more than happy to work with you and help you navigate those complexities. All right. We'll move on to the next agenda item. That would be the public policy and legislative update. Nikki, it's all you. Hi there. Good to see you. This is Nikki. This is Katie, excuse me. The floor is all yours. This is Nikki. Hello, everyone. Hello, board members and community members. I wanted to take the opportunity to comment about a few things to give you an update on what's happening in the public policy and legislative arena for the past couple of months. ACDHH is now keeping an eye on something that's happening at the federal and state levels. Right now, we're keeping an eye on the federal level. It's the Older Americans Act that we're keeping our eye on. This provides funding for programs and services for older adults and older Americans. And these funds go to centers of aging, and the funds are then disseminated for services. We're looking at the upcoming reauthorization, and we are creating some language within the law to ensure that we have comprehensive services for older adults who are deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind. With Sherry's leadership, we have met with national representatives from a variety of national organizations, and we have shared our language. In fact, we have another meeting tomorrow to talk about that specific language and to collectively propose this language to Congress that it be added into the Older Americans Act. Also on the federal level, ACDHH has submitted public comments to the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice recently released information. They wanted to get feedback on their rules. The Americans with Disabilities Act and the rules in the Department of Justice have not been revised or updated in a number of years. And so we're looking forward to the opportunity to provide feedback. We are one of the organizations who will be providing comments, more specifically comments regarding web accessibility, mobile accessibility, and other services under Title II, meaning state government and local government as well. That information, I will share those comments with you. Excuse me, I have not shared those comments with you, but I will. Focusing on the state of Arizona, we are currently developing our legislative priorities to determine what we will be focusing on for the next legislative session that starts January 8th, 2024. Yesterday was the first date that legislators could start pre-filing bills. And so we saw those bills start to come in, and then the legislature will meet and determine who goes to what committees and begin that process. Just yesterday, there was comments from Senator Sunda Rashan from Tucson. And she proposed with the whole Democratic committee to make sure that ASDB is back on track with the full 10 years that they didn't receive. So we're looking forward to seeing what happens there, and we'll continue to monitor any deaf or hard of hearing or deaf-blind related bills. Anything that may affect our agency or the communities that we serve or the communities and programs that we provide. We also participated in the ad hoc committee on vulnerable adults. Sherry initially was a part of that ad hoc committee representing the commission, and when she wasn't there, I was there in her stead. And the purpose of the committee is to protect the rights of adults who are in facilities, to ensure that they are not abused or neglected. And the Auditor General also provided a report. And we're looking at the state system, and we're looking at things on the agency level and adult protective services. So we are looking at how we can improve accessibility within the entire system. And the auditor has made recommendations that each individual should have a unique identifier in order to track that individual through the system so they don't fall through the gap. And the committee concluded their work, and the chair of the committee, Representative Jennifer Longden, will be making recommendations to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House in order to form a working group to work together to improve the system in order to protect vulnerable adults. That concludes my report. I will be sharing more information as we go. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Chair? We're checking that your power didn't go out again. This is Katie. No, I'm here, but my internet's just running slow. Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you for sharing your comments. We appreciate that. I think this would be a good time to take a 10-minute break. It's 5:57 now. Let's return at 6:08, if my math is right. Thank you, everyone. Hello, everyone. Kyla, can you do a roll call for us just to ensure that everyone is back?
Sure. All right. Commissioner Webster,
I'm here.
Commissioner O'Rourke,
Here,
Commissioner Williams,
Here.
Commissioner Cohen,
here, sorry.
no problem. Commissioner Brimhall,
Here.
Commissioner Venkatesh,
Here.
Commissioner Scarborough,
Here,
Commissioner Benton,
here,
Commissioner Thompson,
here.
and then Commissioner Cinco. Commissioner Madsen has left for the evening, just so you know. Did we get everybody?
Okay. Thank you. I want to give everyone a heads up that my lights started flickering yet again during the break. If I get kicked out of the meeting during this storm, Commissioner Sarah Benton will take the lead over for me until I return online. But I'm happy we're getting some rain. Can't complain about that. All right, moving on to the next item on today's agenda. I will turn the time over to Commissioner Cohen, who would like to make some comments about the interpreter shortage. Andrew, the floor is all yours.
The floor? I need to bring it up. Thank you. I'll take it.
Oh, you.
Andrew here. So regarding the interpreter shortage, I have been hearing that it's getting worse and worse. And so I wonder if that is in fact true, or if it's just something people are saying. So I'm wondering if we could ask ACDHH to take on a study of that matter, to look into the interpreter shortage to see if it's true. 3 particular areas I have in mind, if you wouldn't mind, to suggest that you look at these areas. The first being, what is the number one reason that there is an interpreter shortage? Secondly, what are the statistics, the actual numbers? If we're able to look at that and look at the jobs that are going unfilled out there compared to the jobs that are offered, it would be nice to know that. And then thirdly, how many are accepting assignments and then canceling them? What is the cancel rate? That last item, I think, kind of relates to the second item, but if they are deaf-blind jobs that are being canceled at a higher percentage, then that might impact other things as well. So it would be good to know how many are being canceled and which ones are being canceled. If we could have that study done and then maybe have that reported back to us by the next board meeting, that would be great.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. I have also recognized that challenge in getting interpreters. And hopefully ACDHH can host a study and look into an ideal solution. Commissioner Benton?
Yes, I'm also wondering, along with Andrew, if we might add how many requests are not fulfilled in person versus virtual requests. Because now I see so many requests for virtual meetings, VRI meetings. And I just wonder if there are more in-person meetings that are not being filled and that there's a higher percentage of not having an interpreter there. And Commissioner Cohen is saying, I think we could get, if we could get as much data as possible, that'd be great. Whatever you can get would be great.
Thank you, Commissioner Benton. I see Commissioner Thompson has a comment.
Could we also add the CDI? Because we cannot get enough
Not a bad
CDIs.
idea.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. That's a good idea. Commissioner Scarborough?
If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to add something as well. How many available positions for interpreters are there right now in the state? I know that personally, my department has 14 of full-time interpreter positions available, vacancies today.
Wow.
And that continues to increase. We hire and then we increase it by 2, and it just goes on from there. So I see the challenge. I see the shortage.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And Commissioner Cohen, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. Appreciate you.
Just to clarify, wondering if that's something that ACDHH can do. I haven't heard a comment from anyone at ACDHH confirming whether or not they could do that.
I think the appropriate person to comment on that would probably be Victoria.
And this is Sherry. No, it would be me.
My apologies.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for bringing up this topic. It's a challenge, and it has been a challenge since COVID. The business of interpreting has changed. It has increased and had more of an impact on in-persons versus virtual, which is why we are lucky that we have an in-house full-time interpreter. So I have documented everything that you've said, all of your comments, and then I'll bring that back to my team, and we'll certainly assign that to Cameo to address the issue so that we can then get back. I will then bring that to my team also, and hopefully we'll have some update for you, some type of report for the February meeting. If not all of it, at least a progress report in February. And this is Commissioner Cohen. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Cienko. I like that idea, Sherry. Thank you. Also on the topic of interpreters, I would like to turn the time over to Commissioner Scarborough to share some information about the interpreter shortage, but focusing, or interpreter complaints, but focusing on agencies. Can I turn that over to you?
Thank you. I didn't realize I was going to be called upon. I didn't see my name on the agenda. However, I do remember bringing up this topic for discussion for this meeting. So yes, I think that we have recognized that if an interpreter complaint is brought for discussion for the commission, it tends to have some sort of relationship between the interpreter and the agency. There's a connection there. And I have noticed that it's often the agency seems to not be included in the discussion in terms of responsibility. in our agency, we do experience that situation from time to time. And when it happened, one actually happened recently. We did have that happen. And the agency in question caused that problem with the individual interpreter. So I think the thing that I'm bringing up is, what is ACDHH's role in terms of the agencies and investigating the agencies to confirm whether they have some responsibility in it? If they have a state contract, but does that mean that they don't have to abide by state law? We are not monitoring those agencies, but we do monitor the individual interpreters, the individual licensed interpreters. And so it's an issue, I believe, that needs to be addressed, and it's becoming a huge burden for the individual interpreters, but the agencies don't have to share in any of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Scarborough. Sherry, did you have follow-up comments?
I do. Thank you for that comment. I do understand what you're saying. And the requirement to include agencies would have to go through the legislature and through the legislative process. It would have to be added as a requirement. We have been looking at that. Plus, you also have to look at the dynamics of the legislative governance. Are they in favor of that? Are they in favor of including the agencies in that language? It's a challenge. However, I think that the business in general, there will be some pushback, not just related to interpreting, but it is something that we need to look at. And we need to consult with our AAG on that, so that and to see if it would actually fit and be in line with the licensure. I agree. I recognize that the agencies share some of the responsibility there. And it's sticky with us now, but with Nikki with us, we're looking at this, and with Carmen also, and Carmen's team, they're monitoring that. They're looking at that, seeing what's the best fit. We're looking at what is the best strategy. And now we actually have a new AAG who's with us. We just found out this morning. I've not met with the new one yet, the new person. The previous person moved on to another division. And so we really have to educate the new person about licensure requirements and so on. And so we'll have to see what the options are and what the best strategies are. We'll have to see what the potential is there in terms of getting a response from the legislature about this current dynamic. But it is an issue. It's a valid issue. I recognize that. Commissioner Scarborough here. Follow-up question, if I may. I know that currently the rules for interpreting licensure are open. I looked on the website and I saw what the proposed changes are. Is it possible to include this in the rules that connect the agencies to that? Sherry here. I spoke with Carmen about this in the past, and it seems that it's not. That was previously, though, with the previous AAG. And but in that discussion, we saw that we'd have to put the agencies in the law. Maybe Carmen could mention on that or talk about that. Carmen, did you want to come on and clarify that?
Yes, thank you, Sherry. It's an issue I agree that we would have to discuss with our AAG, and not only with the Assistant Attorney General, but also with the Governor's Office. The current package that's out for notice for proposed rulemaking is in direct response to our 5-year rule review. And so those issues are the ones that we have permission to address. There is an option, and we would have to clarify through our AAG as well as our liaison at the governor's office, if during the public comments that this is a continued theme, we would have to ask permission as to whether or not those concerns could be included in this particular making and ask for some direction on how to address those concerns from the community. So if they come up during the rulemaking, we can make it known, but we may have to follow a separate process in order to address them, since it was not in the 5-year rule review, in the 5-year rule review with the governor's regulatory review council.
Thank you, Carmen. And thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Commissioner Scarborough, for this discussion. Since this is an action item, I'm going to leave this to the board to make a decision on what we should do. Sherry?
Because it's an action item, it does not have to be done, but it is an opportunity for the board if they want to take action on it. But I will let you know that based on what Carmen has just mentioned, we do need to consult with the AAG to see if it's permissible to address the agency issue and their obligation, as Commissioner Scarborough mentioned. So we can do that, and then I can report back whether or not it's appropriate or permissible. So we'll follow up either way.
Sounds good. No action then. We'll just wait for a follow-up at the next meeting. Thank
Okay.
you. Moving on to the next agenda item. This is the Yuma Town Hall meeting. This is something that I wanted to put on today's agenda. Thinking about what happened at the last board meeting, I'm sure many of you recall, there was an individual who made a public comment about the challenges that they're experiencing in Yuma. And from there, I started getting communication from people in Yuma who began sharing their frustrations with me. They shared that they feel that ACDHH and some community leaders are not focusing any of their attention on the Yuma community. They feel disconnected from the larger communities in Phoenix and in Tucson, which I get. Yuma is a small town, but the deaf community there is growing based on my conversations with the community members. In 2020, there was a plan to host a board meeting in Yuma, but that didn't happen because of COVID, and we switched our meetings to be virtual. But I would like to begin a discussion amongst the board members on how we could host a town hall in Yuma. How can we get word from the community? How can we go there to hear their concerns? Commissioner Thompson?
I'd like to know what's involved to do that. I don't know what it would look like. Yes, Yuma deserve the attention. But how do we get there and how do we do it? What does it look like?
That is a good question. I'm not really sure either. That's why we're having this discussion today. I see Sherry just popped on. Do you have a comment?
Thank you for the question. When we host a board meeting, it requires a lot of work and a lot of money. We have to find a facility and AV, audiovisual, and we have to have all of that equipment set up. We have to have the phone line connection for the conference bridge for those folks who can't come in person. We have to have interpreters. So those are going to have to be brought in to Yuma for the board, plus for the community. It could cost us upwards of $20,000 for one meeting. So we have to consider the cost. However, our staff are engaged with the community out there. We do have staff who have gone to Yuma for different events, for different meetings. So it's not like we're not there. But for the board itself, it's expensive. And so that's why we are spending we've spent a lot of money in our office improving the different technology, the streaming capacity, so that the community around the state can watch our board meetings, even though they're not there in person.
It's a challenge.
Yes, it really is.
I see Commissioner Cohen.
Yes, Commissioner Cohen here. One question for you, based on what has happened historically with the board meetings. Where have they typically been held? Have they always been in Phoenix, or have you traveled around the state for some of these meetings? Sherry Collins here. Before we built our boardroom with the advanced technology, we tended to meet in Phoenix. One meeting would happen also in Tucson, and that's the way it's always been. We have met in Yuma once. That was quite some time ago, back when our board chair, Sherry Appleby, lived in Yuma. And so with her network of everything, she helped us out, but that was many years ago. Since that time, however, now that we have the technology in our office, we have met in Phoenix. With that being said, remember that we did not have a boardroom in our old building that was across the street. We were in an old building and there was no meeting room there. There was no meeting space. So we had to go to hotels for every board meeting. And then we moved into our current facility and we built our boardroom, our conference room, and with our current updated technology. So it is a cost-saving measure. Commissioner Cohen here. One idea that I might throw out, we do have 4 meetings every year, quarterly. What if one of those meetings were to be in person somewhere this year, or I mean next year, if that were in Yuma, and then it could be in other places, but the other 3 meetings could be virtual? Is there some, then we would of course have to consider all the expenses and the preparation that you mentioned, Sherry, but it might be a compromise that we could consider. I'm just throwing that out there.
Commissioner Thompson? And then we'll go back to you, Sherry.
This is Virginia Thompson. another idea to throw out there, because I recognize the cost of doing this. That's why I was asking, and also recognize that not all of us can get away to go to Yuma. Even though it'd be wonderful to have it on a Friday and then we continue on to San Diego, but that's beside the point. What if we still have it virtually, but maybe having a community of those in Yuma to go to one location, be like a teleconference instead. Uh,
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Sherry, I saw your video turn on, then off. Did you want to add something?
I did want to mention, because the next agenda for 2024, you all can discuss maybe picking one meeting for Yuma, and we can look at different options, like maybe Virginia has recommended, something that might be more cost effective if we were able to identify a location where everybody could join in there, and then we could also do it virtually. Now in Yuma, or I'm sorry, in Tucson, like we're doing in Tucson today, something like that. We could look into that, because not everyone is going to be able to travel to Yuma. Suppose only 3 commissioners were able to go and the rest of the commissioners were joining remotely, then we really wouldn't have that visibility. So that's something that the board can talk about in the next meeting. We can certainly explore it and report back. Just looking at some dates here, for example.
I'm going to give Sherry a moment.
August might be a good month. That might be a good date for Yuma because it's low season. The costs, we're trying to avoid high season for hotels. So August might be good for that. Just an idea, to do something out of Phoenix because it's hot. So just a thought for all of you to consider, and you can look into that.
Thank you, Sherry. I think this is probably a good opportunity to move on to the 2024 meeting dates and the locations. That would be appropriate. That's appropriate, a good segue there. We now will be talking about the meeting dates and locations for our upcoming meetings. I was speaking with Sherry earlier, and we were talking about the challenges that ACDHH is currently facing by doing the hybrid approach. They have attempted it for their staff meeting where some of the staff are there in person and some of the staff are joining virtually. And Sherry mentioned earlier that it was just not effective, which I recognize is a challenge. That presents a challenge for us. So I wanted to open up the floor to a discussion about our upcoming meeting dates and locations. Will we be meeting in person in Phoenix and then choosing one location outside of the Phoenix area? Are we going to be continuing with the hybrid approach? The floor is open. Commissioner Thompson?
I have a question. The past pre-COVID days, I remember the ISA office in Tucson on 24th Street has this huge conference room with a huge video conferencing. I remember that one. And then there was one for book rehab in the West Valley where AIB is at. That's something we can explore.
On 51st Avenue?
Yeah, 51st Avenue. Thank you. So it took me a minute to remember, but yeah. it's we could do that kind of approach. It's different than a Zoom conference meeting because then it's just a bigger room and you can have one group in Tucson and one group in Phoenix, and the majority of us are in those two communities.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. I see Sherry, and then we can go to Commissioner Cohen.
Just a quick question for Commissioner Thompson. I know that the 51st Avenue facility, I'm aware of that, but is RSA open after hours? That's the real question. Or are they limited to, do they close at 5? Because evening requires additional staff and then they have to be paid. And so that is a consideration.
That's a good question. I work for RSA, so this is something that I can look into and I can have a conversation with my supervisor about it during our one-on-one, and I can bring that information to your attention.
Thank you.
All right, switching my hats, back to chairperson. I was a VR employee there for a sec, now I'm back to chairperson. Commissioner Cohen.
Commissioner Cohen here. Not necessarily pertaining to a location, but I would like to make a proposal to accept the dates for next year. If I can find them, February 15th, May 16th, August 15th, November 14th.
Do we have a second? I second that. We have a second from Commissioner Thompson. All in favor?
Commissioner Scarborough saying I am not available on that day.
Commissioner Scarborough?
For the February date, I'm not available on that date.
The February 15th date, you're not available? Okay. All right, so we have a second already. I'm not sure.
We do have to vote, Commissioner Scarborough here. We do have to vote, but I will either vote and not show up. I'll vote in favor and not show up, or I would rather show up. However, just letting you know that I'm not available for that date.
Thank you for letting us know. Commissioner Cohen, say that again. I'm sorry, I missed that. Commissioner Cohen, are you saying that you want to rescind your motion? I'm just want to make sure I'm understanding and following you.
To clarify, I made a proposal. We had a second. We can open it for discussion before voting. You can do that. My understanding anyway, but you can proceed as you wish.
Thank you. So we've opened it for discussion. I'm in unfamiliar territory here. Somebody needs to help me out with this.
Sherry here. For Commissioner Scarborough, she has a conflict in February. How about February 20th? Commissioner Scarborough, does that work for you? And others? Does February 20th work for everybody? Commissioner Scarborough?
Does February 20th work for you?
Commissioner Scarborough here. Is that a Tuesday? Thursday. They're always on Thursdays. Commissioner Scarborough here. I'm looking at February 20th, 2024 as a Tuesday.
Let me check.
Oh, Sherry saying, I'm looking at the 2025 calendar. Sorry.
Jumping the gun.
Give me a minute. Oops.
Talking about the 21st, probably.
The
Or
22nd.
22nd, my bad.
22nd, yes. Can you do that? Are you available on February 22nd? That would be the following Thursday. Commissioner Scarborough saying yes. And everybody else, Sherry is asking if we could change it. If everybody's okay with that, we could change it.
And I'm fine with February 22nd, as long as everyone else is okay with that. Do we need to have a motion?
We need Representative Cohen is saying we need to have an amendment to the proposal, yes. And if we do that, then I'll accept it.
Right, the motion has been amended to have February 22nd as our meeting date.
Commissioner Scarborough agrees, yes. Everybody
We have
else?
a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Seems like everyone's okay.
Aye.
Like everyone's in agreement. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for helping me navigate this unfamiliar territory. Okay, so we have our dates. Now we need to determine locations. This is also open for discussion. What would you like to do for 2024? And I would like to mention that I prefer in-person meetings, but I would like to open the floor for discussion on what you would prefer to do. Commissioner Thompson?
I would like
I know.
I would like to hold off on that until we can find out more information regarding if we can do the video conferencing in the ISA in a conference room like that first. I admit that I'm just not confident with voting on that.
All right, and Commissioner Benton?
Maybe we could start with the February 22nd meeting virtually. And then, you know, if there's often snow in February, so we could do that one virtually. And then moving forward, I'm in favor of the idea of one of the following three meetings being at the ACDHH office, one in Yuma or another location. Hey, come to Flagstaff or some other location. And then, so two virtual and then two in person, one being in Phoenix and one somewhere else.
Thank you. Now to recap, we have one motion that we look more into the possibility of hosting meetings virtually through the 51st Avenue office. There was another individual who prefers the February meeting to be virtual, and then the rest could be in person or to be determined. Commissioner Cohen?
Commissioner Cohen here. I would like to propose that the February meeting be virtual, and the following three meetings will be discussed at the next board meeting when we have more information at hand.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor.
Commissioner Scarborough seconds.
Commissioner Scarborough. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, looks like everyone is in agreement. Thank you. Motion passes. And the next agenda item is for discussion of future agenda items that you'd like to see on our agenda. Commissioner Benton?
I think that there are two issues that we've discussed tonight that I would like more information on. One is the deaf-blind SSP issue.
The co-navigator.
That's correct. Yes. Maybe we can put that one down. And then the second one is the interpreter complaint issue as it pertains to the agencies. And then maybe a follow-up to the interpreter survey information, the shortage of interpreters.
Thank you. Any other additions for the good of the group? Going once, going twice. All right, seeing and hearing none, we can move on to the next agenda item. I need a motion for adjournment. We have a motion from Commissioner Webster.
Yes. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Commissioner Benton, I second.
We have a second from Commissioner Benton. All in favor? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, you beautiful people. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for your patience through the storm and my power outage and the tech issues and me in new territory tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in February. Have a great, great holiday with your loved ones. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.